News Channel 12 investigates a startling trend. North Carolina juvenile justice system leaders are now noticing more children turning to criminal activities in the shadow of growing gangs. The problem is at a peak across eastern Carolina. Investigative reporter Tyler Harden breaks down how it's happening.
There are more than 100 active gangs across the state. That's according to the Governor's Crime Commission. Established gangs are turning to children to commit violence, while some as young as 12 are starting gangs of their own. Just get this, statewide, 9% of children entering the juvenile justice system were involved in gangs last year. Well, here in eastern Carolina, that number is much higher at 12%.
You were going to school, you were seeing it.
From the classroom to the streets.
When you come home, you were seeing it.
Brandon Anderson became a part of it. A street gang.
I wanted to prove that I was just as tough as everybody else.
He was only 14 years old when he was initiated. Over time, he rose through the ranks.
It took me to a place I didn't want to live for a long time.
3 separate attempted murder charges put him in prison for a combined 9 years.
Every time I've been in prison, I lost somebody that was close to me.
The losses pushed him to stop. Now he's seeing a new, more destructive generation of gangs.
Kids, like younger kids, not even in high school, they the OGs. They the ones teaching the other kids to do this and do that.
I think we've seen kids get more violent in the middle school, which is something that we really need to focus on.
Dealing drugs, robberies, assaults, shootings, even murders. Jacksonville Police Chief Mike Yanero says children as young as 12 years old are committing these crimes.
Because these gangs develop their own rules, they develop their own culture, and it just depends on that culture.
There are more than 300 validated gang members living in Jacksonville. Since 2020, police investigated 141 gang-related incidents, including murder.
That culture is a culture of crime, it's a culture of violence, and we need to stop that. We need to turn that around.
Other eastern Carolina cities are similar. Greenville police report 10 gangs operate in the city, including the notorious Bloods and Crips. Those same 2 gangs were found in Kinston, too, where police reveal 106 shootings since 2020 were gang-related. That's more than 60% of the shootings there. From 2019 to 2021, New Bern police investigated 21 gang-related shootings, resulting in 7 deaths.
What we see with gang members is they fail in school, they fail in sports, and this is an opportunity for them to get self-esteem.
About 40% of them have parents that say they're unwilling or incapable of supervising their own children. And so instead of the parents supervising those kids, the kids are turning towards the gangs.
Something leaders at the North Carolina juvenile justice system want to prevent early on. William Lassiter is the deputy secretary. He follows the troubling trends.
The gangs got a foothold in a lot of our communities.
It shows in the combined data across Pitt, Lenoir, Craven, and Onslow counties. In 2020, 11% of juveniles entering the system were involved in gangs. The number was higher in 2021. It was 14%. In 2022, there was a slight drop. 12% of juveniles were gang affiliated. To put it in perspective, that's 127 children 17 years old or younger last year.
If we can catch them in that first year where they're considering to join a gang, we still have a pretty good chance of keeping them out of that gang culture for life.
That's why each child 12 and older takes a gang assessment when they enter the system. Staff look for physical signs like hand signals, tattoos on their body or face, or the use of gang colors. They're even asked 13 questions. One of them cuts to the chase. Are you involved in a gang? Deputy Secretary Lassiter says these questions help shape their service plan and possibly the rest of their life.
If that kid stays in that gang for more than a year, 2 or 3 years, it's much more difficult to get them out of that gang culture.
Give these kids opportunities to excel in other means, and the problems of gangs will go away.
From team sports to the theater stage, even mentorship programs, it's these opportunities law enforcement and even reformed gang members hope will help.
The way it's going now, it'll lead you back to prison. It'll lead you to prison or in the early grade. Talk to the kids before they get there and let them know to make the right decision and the best decisions before they even get into it, so they won't get into it.
Challenges are ahead for law enforcement and schools. They're up against the impact of the pandemic and more sophisticated ways to reach children like social media and messaging apps. That's why Chief Yanero says it'll take the community together to turn it around. For News Channel 12 Investigates, I'm Tyler Hardin.